Welcome to DDS. We're your hosts, Blake Melton and Bradley Newberry. Matthew Parker has the day off. Newberry, big weekend in college.
It was a big weekend, and for myself as the Florida Gator fan, just another disappointing weekend. But there could be some closure that we'll discuss.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that here in a second.
I have a feeling we will no longer be getting any more exclusive interviews from one person that we will not mention yet.
Yeah, well, if we do, he won't be wearing any sort of Florida garb for sure.
Well, let's start with a team that won, shall we?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Let's go with the UT Vols. The UT Vols will go bowling this holiday season after picking up their sixth win, 60-14 over the Jags of South Alabama.
Yeah, this is what everybody thought it was going to be. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They beat down a less talented team, quite frankly. But I mean, it was still, I believe South Alabama had like the 25th rush defense in the nation, and we hung 250 rushing yards on them. So I mean, it was either. I'm not saying that they were ever threatening or anything like that, but it's still nice to see that we're still doing our thing.
And you should. The offensive line should. You mentioned it. 250 total rushing yards, 5 touchdowns on the ground.
Yep.
Hendon Hooker had another day. He was 17 of 20, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He accounted for one of the rushing touchdowns. So keep going, Hooker.
Yeah, I mean, that is about as efficient as one could be.
I don't know what else you
QB
want.
position right there. I mean, there were times that I was like, all right, let's get him out of there, get him out of there, get him out of there. Let's not get him hurt. I mean, but it's just not Josh Heupel's style. I mean, he's going to have his foot on the gas the entire time. He doesn't care what the score is.
No.
That's why I think it's going to be pretty interesting against Vandy, because I don't see him giving any quarter. He doesn't care how bad he's beaten. He may try to hang a 70 spot on Vandy. But, yeah, we got to see a lot of different running backs. I mean, goodness gracious. I think we saw everybody in the running back stable outside of, oh, good Lord, Tyon Evans, outside of Tyon Evans, who has been injured. But the freshman, right? I mean, 83 yards. Jabari Small, 73. Lenith Whitehead, 60 yards. Hooker had 21 yards on the ground. I mean, golly. And Velus Jones, 96, I do believe, 96-yard touchdown return on a kickoff. I mean, just everything was clicking. I mean,
good. These
players believe in this system. They believe in the coaching staff. And you can tell Joe Milton came in. And, now that Joe doesn't have a lot of pressure on him, all of a sudden he looks like a halfway decent quarterback, because he threw an absolute dime to Ramel Keaton in the end zone. And Ramel just dropped it.
We haven't said that at all.
No, that is a change of pace here when it comes to Joe Milton.
We're not talking about Milton dropping dimes. We're talking about Milton throwing missiles.
Well, and all of a sudden, this kid Moore comes in at the end of the game out of nowhere, this mystery quarterback. We're like, who in the hell is this guy? Apparently, he is a transfer from UCF that came with Josh Heupel.
Okay.
I don't think he actually has a scholarship. I think he walked on. But he was, I guess he was a guy that came with Heupel whenever he came to Tennessee. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it was a beatdown. I mean, it was what you're supposed to do in this game. So, I mean, it wasn't like it was all over turnovers and stuff like that. It was just Tennessee did whatever they want on offense.
So. They did. And not only did they become bowl eligible, which they will go to a bowl. The SEC has so many tie-ins. It's guaranteed.
Yep.
They're going to a bowl game. It also triggered a few things for the coaches.
Yeah.
A $100,000 bonus for Heupel and over $360,000 in combined bonuses for the assistants.
I mean, this
job well done.
Yeah, this coaching staff, I mean, has done more with less. Everybody, as Tennessee fans, we've always been like, look, I mean, You're coming in. We don't have any talent. We've got the old coach's talent. That's what we always said when we had Pruitt and we had Butch Jones and we had Dooley. We had all these guys and we're like, we're having to rebuild and all that, blah, blah, blah. No, Josh Heupel's like, we're gonna win now. We're gonna compete now. And this staff has these kids bought in so much. I cannot wait to see what happens whenever we get a full set of scholarship players.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I had. Nothing but positive. Congratulations on
absolutely
going to a Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, I think they're way too early to tell, but I've heard North Carolina State and Clemson possibly as matchups.
Match them up. There's a team that we'll go to next that it's questionable. They have one more attempt to get bowl eligible, which is disappointing to say. The Florida Gators go to that vaunted stadium in Missouri.
That we badmouthed. We badmouthed them. We had to retract it.
They lose in overtime, 24-23. I predicted that it'd be a 1-point game, but going the other way. Going the other way. Dan Mullen is out. As for the Florida Gators football team, this makes 4 straight SEC losses. Unacceptable. In Missouri. Missouri's going bowling with the Vols. Unbelievable.
Ugly, ugly, ugly game. It really was for Florida. It was a lack of effort. I thought there was a couple times that Florida could have pushed the envelope and maybe whenever Florida went to overtime, I kind of made my mind up that they're going to lose this game. And I think Parker was the one that actually predicted that Florida would lose this game.
He did. And he sent me a little, I'm actually actively messaging with our guest host.
Mm-hmm.
He says, sorry, it's been a busy week, but wanted to remind everyone that we called out on this show and Twitter before the Florida game that it could be Dan Mullen's last game as a Gator head coach. I didn't see anyone else saying this, is what Parker's saying.
Yeah.
So if you want some real insight, we urge you to follow us on Twitter. Check us out on the YouTube page. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Like, listen.
Yeah, and if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do that now for us. We really appreciate it. But yeah, back to Florida. I mean, no defense again. I mean, no defense, no offense. Very ineffective offense. Just ineffective. I mean,
what I did see in the overtime period was they just marched right down and got their touchdown in overtime anyway.
I know, but in overtime against a team like Missouri has nothing to lose.
That's why they went for 2.
That's why
they knew Florida couldn't stop much of anything.
That's why no, they couldn't.
And it was their running back again. I mean, the little trap counter left, counter right.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Beatty had 146 yards on the ground.
And a lot of those came in the 4th and overtime.
I mean, it belonged to him. The fourth quarter just belonged to him. Emory Jones, 20 of 32, 261. I mean, that's not bad numbers, but I mean,
he had 306 total yards, but here's the run game?
He was the leading rusher with 45 rushing yards.
That's what I wrote down. Where is the
Pierce had 7 rushes for 7 yards.
Where did it go, man? God.
None of them averaged over more than 3.2 yards. And the one that averaged 3.2 only had 19 yards.
Where in the F did it go?
I mean,
but that's just a part of everyone getting canned. The offensive line coach out, linebacker coach out.
When you have to start,
Dan Mullen is out.
I mean, whenever you have to start firing folks in the middle of the year, it's not a good sign. And most likely, I mean, you're going to be doing good just to get out of the year without being fired. And Dan Mullen obviously did not survive the season.
No. So he ends his career as Florida head coach, 34-15, and he gets to take home a $12 million check, a buyout check.
Did he just tank for the buyout? Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I think this was a guy that he enjoys coaching kids, but I don't think he put in the time to recruit. This was something that we called out in the SEC East prediction show. His recruiting would be tested this year with a turnover, and we haven't seen it.
I mean, I posed the question last week whenever we were hinting that this might happen. Does Dan Mullen just want to be an OC? Is that his next destination, maybe, is an NFL OC? Or a bigger college football OC? I mean, that way he won't have to recruit in either of those positions.
I know this is not the NFL show, but wouldn't that be a mess if he's reunited with Urban Meyer in the Jacksonville Jaguars? Urban and Dan on the same NFL staff? Oh my gosh.
Are they just putting him in place and in case they have to fire Urban? In case he goes out and grabs another woman's ass.
Guess who that is, remember? Urban's very first hire, Charlie Strong, is the assistant head coach for the Jags. So it's just a bunch of reunion.
It's just a bunch of washed up college coaches is what it is. Good grief.
Yeah, we'll stick away from the Jags. Tune in for another show for that.
So let's talk about this a little bit. What are the names?
Who's next?
Yeah, I mean that they're looking at down there in Florida. I don't even know who's the AD down there.
Scott Strickland.
Okay.
He's a busy man. I've read
so.
I've read that he's been jumping on planes to Louisiana, and we're not talking about Coach O. Right. But some of the names that I read in a CBS article included 2 Stoops. One, Bob Stoops, who doesn't have a job. He's just talking about Iowa, I guess, right now on TV. That was an ex-Florida Gator coach. Then you have old Stoops up in Kentucky, which why would I think that they could just poach him away from another SEC school?
That's what we were just talking about before the show is why would an SEC coach outside of Vanderbilt, I'll say that, leave an SEC school to go to another SEC school, particularly when your school just beat that school and has a history of beating that school.
Oh, you want to know about another SEC coach that's on this list? Lane Kiffin.
I don't understand that one bit.
I hate it. I don't like it. As a Florida fan, I don't want to see that name. I saw it.
I don't understand why that would even be the case. I mean, you look at the kind of year that Ole Miss is having this year. Why would Lane even bother? You think Ole Miss is not a big enough brand?
Why would Florida bother with that, though?
I don't. Well, that's my thing. And
we saw what Lane did to your
Bob Stoops. His name comes up in every effing coaching search that ever comes up. So I don't even pay attention to that. The only
Mark
one that
Stoops?
I have no.
And Lane Kiffin, no. So we're going to keep going down the list.
Yeah.
Louisiana, Bill Napier.
I think that's probably.
that's where the plane is right now with Scott.
I think it's probably a decent hire.
Possible.
Yeah.
Dave Clawson. Luke Fickell. Cincinnati coach. Matt Campbell. Iowa State, what Parker's talked about.
Can I give you a word of advice from a fan of the team that took a coach from Cincinnati? Don't do it. I think I saw a meme.
Mailboxes?
I think I saw a meme. I'll put it up on the screen.
What is this?
Brick by brick. I thought it was perfectly illustrated.
Look at it.
Butch Jones, square jaw, blue hat. I mean, come on. That's what you need down there in Gainesville. You need some bricks.
I need some players. I need some recruits. I need someone that likes to recruit. I don't think Dan wanted to. I think he likes the student athlete. I think he's a good guy.
I honestly think he's a halfway decent coach.
Yeah.
I really do.
He just didn't want to put in the work.
I don't think he wants the responsibility of having to recruit. I think you hit the nail on the head. All those names that you listed, I mean, there's a couple in there, but I mean, Billy Napier's probably the front runner if I had to guess. That's who I would want the most. it's always tough in a big program like Florida whenever it turns over like this. I mean, dude, been through it. A lot of times as a Tennessee fan, it's a mess. You've been through it as a Florida fan too.
Oh, yeah, multiple times.
It's kind of a shot in the dark because you really don't know if who you're hiring is ready for it. And that is really all I can say about those other names on there is, are they ready? Are they ready for the big time? I hate putting it that way and sounding arrogant or whatever as SEC
but it
folks.
is.
Are they ready for the big time? Are they ready to come into a program that you're going to have unlimited resources?
Unlimited resources and an always expectation to be a top 15 program.
And quite frankly, the expectations will always be unreasonable.
Yeah.
They will. Yes, that's unreasonable. Florida's expectation is to compete for the SEC championship and have a chance to get into the college football playoff every time. That's Florida. You know, that's upper echelon SEC. And right now, and if they can't get a hold on this within the next year or two, Florida might not be in the top echelon in the SEC for a while,
because that's what they've earned this year.
Coming from a Tennessee fan, where we fell out of the top echelon.
That's what they've earned this year. So let's go around college football. We had some spice. Yep. Number 2 Alabama, 42-35 over number 21 Arkansas. Blake hit it this week. He said Arkansas would cover, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a game. Sorry, guys, I'm pulling up the stats on my phone because I left my iPad out down yonder, as we say here in the South.
Way down yonder.
But I thought this was an opportunity for Pittman and for the Arkansas Razorbacks to let everybody know that they're not a flash in the pan. And I did not have any ideas that they would necessarily beat them. But, I mean, they put up a fight. They absolutely put up a fight. I mean, they had 468 total yards of offense against Alabama. There aren't a lot of teams that can put up that kind of offense.
The problem is Alabama had 700?
Yes, 671.
Ooh. Holy moly.
The problem was they could not stop Alabama's passing attack. Bryce Young he's very good. He's still got some growing to do. He had 559 yards through the air, 31 of 40. I mean, he just has so many weapons around him at the wide receiver position, and it's just ridiculous. And he's got a freaking running back in Robinson that he's just a beast. He had 122 yards on the ground. But, I mean, hats off to Arkansas. They played their butts off. I mean, KJ Jefferson, 22 of 30 for 326, 3 touchdowns, no picks. I mean, dude, they played well. It's just it wasn't quite well enough. I picked them to easily cover, and I still think Pittman is up for a potential coach of the year.
I can see it. So we had Georgia win in convincing fashion over a nobody. We had Alabama continue to win at number 2. That brings us to number 3, Oregon. Parker said it was a trap. Utah, what did he say? Has lost 1 game since 2018, and that was a game where there were no fans at the stadium. And Oregon comes in, and not only did Oregon lose, they got straight dominated, Blake. It was 38-7 as the final.
They got stomped.
Bye-bye, Oregon.
I mean,
you're not getting back after that type of loss.
No, that was a convincing loss.
Goodbye.
Wasn't like you had a bunch of turnovers. Wasn't like there was a bunch of penalties. They just got beat. Just got whipped.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing really.
I don't really have much to say about it.
I don't either. I mean, mediocre performance by the quarterback. Hardly any rushing yards. I mean, but whatever. I mean, they got the job. Utah got the Utes.
Utah.
They got it done.
Go Utah.
I mean, I don't think I picked that one right. So
well, that brings us then to number 4, because now we know we're going to have a shakeup.
Yep.
Number 3's out. Number 4 did their job. In Parker predicted it. He thought it'd be a blowout. I was leaning towards maybe still be a competitive game, which it was not. Number 4 Ohio State. 56-7 over then number 7 Michigan State. I guess that's bye-bye to Michigan State. And this catapults Ohio State, I would imagine, to either definitely 3, maybe even to 2 over Alabama.
Yeah, according to this, they are 2.
There you go.
There it is. I mean, this game was over in the first half.
Parker predicted it. I was like, I don't know. Over. Maybe they can run the ball and keep it lower scoring. But no, Ohio State said, I'm not having any of that. We're just going to go ahead and pump some points on the board.
Yeah, Walker, I mean, they only handed the ball off to him 6 times.
They got behind way too early.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with these teams is they get behind early and then they forget what their identity is and then they try to throw the ball and it's just not
Florida.
It's not who they are. I mean, but still, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, freaking Ohio State with 655 yards total offense. CJ Stroud, 32 of 35. 32 of 35 for 432.
If you look at any of the news, if you have a link there, I believe he had some sort of record first half. He may have had 4 or 5 of those.
He had 400 yards in the first half.
Oof.
And I think he had 5 touchdowns in the first half. And the only person I have ever known to have 5 touchdowns in one game is the great Al Bundy in the city championship for Polk High.
Polk High.
If y'all don't know what that is, then go screw yourself. But anyways, I mean, CJ Stroud, he's for real.
It is. Heisman watch.
I don't know if it's really close. I mean, it's him and Bryce Young, I guess.
It's no longer Walker, I don't believe.
I don't think so. Not after that performance. And I mean, that was a Heisman moment that he had. You know, Bryce Young is good, and I think he's going to win some Heismans while he's at Alabama. But I just don't think he's going to beat out CJ Stroud. I mean, he's pretty special, it looks like.
So flip over to the Cincinnati game, because this quarterback needs to be mentioned in Heisman talks, I guess, but it could be in that 4 to 5 range. Speaking of the shakeup, man, coming into last week, they were number 5 on the outside looking in, but they got the job done. I predicted that SMU was going to hang around and make it close, but that wasn't true. Cincinnati went ahead and laid that lumber 48-14 over SMU, but their quarterback trying to make a statement at Cincinnati, I just think it's going to come up a little short.
Well, yeah. 17-23, 274, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
It's just the thing is there are so many. There's not so many. There's a few exceptional young quarterbacks right now that are putting up just monstrous numbers. I mean, they as a team they put up good numbers. 554 total offense. I mean, 295 yards passing, 249 rushing. I mean, yeah, this is. Unfortunately for Cincinnati, this is how they have to win all their games. They have to dominate everybody.
I think Parker would still argue it's not enough to get them in the playoffs, even with them being at number 5 last week, number 3 losing. He doesn't believe that Cincinnati's going to make it.
Currently, they're sitting at 4. I do think that they're going to be first out.
We'll see what happens later this week whenever we see the updated playoff rankings. And the last one I wanted to react to was a little game that we had on our docket, number 10, Wake at Clemson. Clemson continues to win. And this was, to everyone's surprise, there was some offensive numbers here. 48-27. Clemson just swatted Wake Forest away.
Yeah, but, you know, it was kind of ugly.
I mean, that's what Clemson's team wants to do.
Each team had 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and an interception for both teams. I mean, DJ, 11 of 19 for 208, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I mean, DJ's not the threat there. No, it's their running game. It's Pryor and Shipley. Combined, they had over 300 yards of rushing.
That's right.
So, I mean, Wake Forest's quarterback, Hartman, he had a pretty good game. He threw the pick, but 27-43, 312. It's just they're not a real heavy run team, and I guess they couldn't stop the run on Clemson's part. I mean, I was riding the Wake train. I thought that Wake might have been able to pull it out, but it was just that third quarter just killed them when Clemson scored 21 points in the third quarter.
So there you go. That's the reaction show. Clemson could be on a crash course with the UT Vols. A lot of orange in that game if that comes out to be true.
I'm hearing North Carolina State potentially, or Clemson is something I'm hearing a lot about. It's I think that could be a really good crowd, I would say. But
Parker's final thought was go Big Orange, bye Dan. And mine is Scott Strickland. Take your time. We still got one more game. I know that you want someone in there as quickly as possible to do this recruiting thing, but let's get it right. I don't want to be on the new coach every year train. Take your time.
I would agree, but it's hard to tell sometimes. But hey, guys, thanks for joining us today for the reaction show, the college reaction show. Join us on Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. Go ahead and get the conversation started there. Tell me what you think about Dan Mullen being fired. Who's going to be the next coach? Love to hear from you. Anyways, that's all I got. He's already given his closing argument here, or closing thoughts. Go Big Orange. You guys be well.